Each week here on the show, we've got a different weed that we feature. We call it the Weed of the Week. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, I hate seeing the Weed of the Week because I think, oh man, that's a tough one to control. We got to step through all these options. This week's weed is bull thistle, and I don't think it's all that difficult to control. It just takes a little bit of diligence. You got to get out there and get it taken care of before it goes to seed.
All right, there are a lot of methods used for bull thistle control that are really kind of ineffective. Let's take a few of them. For example, let's just say you got a hoe and you chop off the top of a bull thistle. Well, you just set it back for a couple of weeks, it's coming back. How about mowing? Same thing. You mow it off, it comes back within a couple of weeks. You're really not being very effective. The other thing is using 2,4-D. If you use a low rate of 2,4-D, maybe a quart to 4-pound 2,4-D and spray it over an acre of grassland, and you've got some bull thistle, you can burn them down to the ground, but you don't have enough active ingredient to get down into that root, nor do you have the right product to get down in that root. So you've got to look at what the right timing is and the right product if you really want to get it under control.
The good news here is it's just a biennial weed. It is not a perennial. So since it is a biennial, the whole key is in year 2, preventing it from going to seed. Year 1 is basically going to be the rosette stage. You're going to see it relatively close to the ground. It's just trying to store up nutrients to go into the next year. And then in year 2, you're going to have the bolt stage where that bull thistle is going to get tall. It's going to put a great big head on it, a big flower. And the reason why Darren mentioned low rates of 2,4-D is a lot of times you don't really notice bull thistle until year 2, where you go, oh my goodness, what's this great big weed out there? Well, it's so big, so thick, so powerful that that little rate of 2,4-D isn't going to do a whole lot to it.
All right, so what will work on it? Well, one product that's really old that is pretty effective on thistles is Tordon. Tordon can certainly be used to wipe out a thistle patch, and it can get down into that root system if you use a high enough rate. Now, one of the challenges with Tordon has been, well, there's several challenges. One, you can't get close to a river or a stream. And if you've got a little stream running through your pasture, you got to stay back because Tordon can be harmful for fish. The other thing it's dangerous for is trees. So if you've got a tree belt or some desirable trees around the area where the bull thistles are, Tordon is going to be a little iffy for you.
All right, the better product than Tordon is going to be Milestone. Milestone is more effective on all thistle species than really anything else that you've got for the non-crop areas. All right, Darren mentioned 2,4-D and said, you know, low rate, not very good. But if you went out with, let's say, a quart to a quart and a half of LV6 in good weather conditions, and there isn't already a head on that plant, you're going to have pretty decent effectiveness. So what ends up happening a lot of times, though, is the weather's adverse, the weather's cold, the rate isn't very good, the plant is already too big, it already has a head on. So I'm just trying to say, if you time it right, use a stronger rate of maybe a more concentrated 2,4-D, you actually can do pretty decent on this weed.
All right, now, if that plant already has a seed head on it, we get the question all the time, well, hey, if I spray it now, can I hurt the germination or the viability of those seeds? Well, certainly you can to some degree, but will you 100%? I wouldn't count on that. You want to get your timing so you're doing it a little bit earlier than that. The other thing, if you say, hey, I don't use chemicals on my farm, what can I do to stop this weed? Well, a couple things. Number one, don't overgraze grass areas. When you overgraze, what happens is you just took away all that crop canopy, and now that thistle has virtually nothing to compete against. The other thing is good fertility. If you're not fertilizing your pastures, you really need to start looking at this. And I know if you're in an organic production, you say, well, I can't use commercial fertilizers. That's fine. You can use manure. You can use compost. There are a number of different nutrient programs you can get on. You need to make sure that your grass has all the nutrients it needs so it never suffers, so you never have a chance for something competitive like bull thistle to come in.
The other thing, if you want better canopy, use something like Rise Up Smart Grass, gibberellic acid. Early in the spring, late in the fall, you're going to get a lot more growth in the cooler weather conditions, and that's often when bull thistle can really get established.
Well, that's all the time we have for our Weed of the Week. Bull thistle, but Iron Talk is coming up next.